Oh, we are live. It is Truth Will Set You Free, episode 46. We got Rogan's apology tour on this one. We're talking cancel culture. We got high school students across the country where they're making patriotism and freedom cool again. Jay Adonde at ESPN thinks that America's issues are equal to the genocide in China. Please leave. Please leave. We got to think of another, algorithm for ESPN. I know that's not the right word. We're going to do a V update. Department of Defense releasing data. We're going to talk about time between shots. We're going to be very careful because we're going to talk about masks because apparently the science has changed. The question is, has YouTube changed their policies? I don't think they have, so they're a little bit lagging behind. We're going to talk about an anti-Semitic bill from Florida in 2019, and DeSantis talk truck convoys and crack for black. That's what we're going to talk about. So I think we're going to lead the episode. Go ahead and hit the share button, guys. Do us a favor. And if you are watching, I'll give you guys the link on YouTube. We're going to switch to the backup page, which is actually Truth Will Set You Free page. We'll be switching to that shortly. But with no further ado, let's lead it off with a fun video.
Breaking news, everybody. Joe Biden hates black people. How this creates racial equity is beyond me, but all I know is the 1994 crime bill locked up a bunch of niggas for doing exactly this. Happy Black History Month, though.
So it used to be crack is whacked, but apparently in the Biden administration, crack is black. Maybe.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
I'm going to defend you when they clip this and be like, this man said crack is black. All black people do crack.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the world is like, what happens? There's going to be a week where like, guys, there's no new news and nothing is a shitstorm. Let's take the week off. And I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't think right now it's possible. No,
I don't think it is either.
All right. So real quick before we launch the show, things are getting interesting. They are. The tide is turning. Crack pipes for all unless you're a white man. All right. That's a new one. If you want to support us at all times, please go to our patreon.com/BeTheChangeUSA. Go to our store, awakenotwokestore.com. We do have a 20% off right now if you do convoy, and we've got some trucker shirts. If you do any of the trucker shirts, we've got crop top hoodies, we've got t-shirts, we got women's t-shirts, we've got a couple different kinds. It is 10% of all sales are going to be going to the Give Send Go, which is over $5 million, even though the site crashed for a whole day, supporting the truckers. So kudos. How's everybody doing?
Great.
Peachy. How's Okinawa?
Okinawa is amazing. Can't complain.
So with our mandates of these dropping a lot of places, I know you said Okinawa is a big mask place. Are they all wearing masks out there or what?
Yeah. I'll say it's like 50-50. Sometimes you catch people not wearing it, depending on where you go. But it's not unusual for them. They always wear masks, especially when they're in like close vicinity of people or they're in an enclosed place to put on a mask.
They don't force it though?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Do us a huge favor, guys. Go ahead and hit the like button, hit the share. We're going to go ahead and have you guys all do hashtag Truth Will Set You Free or hashtag Be The Change right now. That'll help us get the algorithm bumping a little bit and get things moving so we can start this show. Other thing for you guys to check out if you ever want to watch, just in case we ever get pulled, go to hashtag BeTheChange.com/podcast. You'll catch all of our shows on there. And now our link tree is very, very accurate. I've updated everything, all of our pages. As you can see, this is a little bit different. We have new branding, which you will see when we start the show. But where is it? There it is. So this is now Truth. You guys are on Truth Will Set You Free weekly news and conversation. The Be The Change page is still available, but you have to search Be The Change. It's Be The Change USA, or just Be The Change is the way to find it. And you'll see our positivity there. This is a full news-based network that is obviously conservative leaning, if you haven't been able to tell. Well, I don't know if we can call it conservative. Sunni doesn't think that we're fully conservative, so we'll just call it non-left. Can we say non-leftist? Does that work?
You're right-leaning, yes.
Right-leaning. Okay, there we go. Right-leaning.
I think we're just leaning is what we're doing here, right?
Say it again.
We're just leaning towards the truth.
Yes, there we go. There it is. We are a truth-based page. There we go. Excellent. With that said. For those of you that missed the first 25 seconds we got on this episode of Truthlessly Free, number 86, Rogan's Apology Tour, talking cancel culture. Can you smell what The Rock is cooking, trying to cancel him when he is throwing stones from the largest glass house in history, and many others, Washington High School, as well as many others. We got mask mandates across the country starting to be dropped. Stacey Abrams decided mask mandates only applies to children and not her ridiculously obese self. I'm sorry, comorbidities. Okay, well, you get it. Jay Adonde on ESPN. The V update are talking about Department of Defense and some other stuff. Truck conflict changes updates. The anti-Semitic bill from 2019. The anti-Semitic bill from DeSantis. We're going to talk maybe a little bit about masks, and then crack is black. So, guys, continue to share this episode. I'm going to let you guys probably share this. What is so funny? What did I do?
Crack is black. You just keep
How
saying
you
it.
gonna get canceled, bro?
Look, it's Biden. It's not me. I didn't say it. Biden.
Anthony's apology tour will begin next week.
I'm just reporting the news. Biden's administration is in full belief, clearly, that
Crack is black.
Hey, wait. Black people don't do crystal meth, bro. That's y'all white folks. Y'all mess with that glass.
wait, is it
saying.
is it crack
I
or
don't
is it
know.
crystal meth? What's
Crystal meth too.
Oh,
It's all
it's
of it.
all encompassing.
They,
So
they want you to
essentially-
smoke it instead of injecting it.
Oh God, what the
So much healthier.
Good.
It's
Can
just
you
a
imagine
healthier option, guys.
the meeting backstage, like in there, the Biden war room, like, oh, I didn't poop my pants. Let's finish up here. So what did you say about the thing and with the crack and but this doesn't include Hunter. Hunter doesn't get it for free, right? No. Okay. So it's something that I can say I'm helping minorities with. All right. Let me sign it. Okay, there we
This
go.
must have been formed by the same people who did the food pyramid.
Exactly.
Right?
Hey, that's a perfect example of science gone wrong. Like that whole food pyramid is completely wrong. Like, let's have a bunch of chemically enhanced gluten on the
6
bottom.
servings of pasta a day.
If you guys can you put a bunch of white bread into your system, and then meanwhile a whole bunch of dairy and all the milk farm, whatever corporations across the country, here's $800,000 to just say milk near the bottom of that pyramid. What do you say? Jesus.
Man.
Oh,
All right, I got to share this episode. Suni, what's going on in your life while I go ahead and boost it on the page or share it up to the top?
I've been having fun. I got to talk to some old heads about cancel culture, which I'm not talking about you, Mel. You're not in this. I'm talking about Oliver and Craig. Fire Whoopi, and I'm like,
You
when
don't
it
have to take me
backfires,
out.
I
Yeah,
don't-
Monique.
Why not? You're not an old head. I don't
But
consider
Mo
you
is
an
on
old
their
head.
side, though.
Nah, Mo, she understands where we are. Mo is not an old head. You know, you don't want to be called an old head. That ain't where you are.
Dude, but I'm like,
No, but we were
I'm-
having it was a fun conversation. We of course we disagreed
good.
on it, but we agreed on the pretty much the basis of what I was saying. Like, okay, yeah, I get it. So we talked about cancel culture. I got to talk to God's child. Whoa, man, I needed a whole blunt after that show was over. I needed a shot. He went up, down, all around, sold people a sob story, and I was just sitting there like, people were like, why are you making that face? I'm like, because this guy's full of shit and you're just buying into it. Oh, you got off drugs. No, you're still on them. It's obvious. He's
what
on
was that-
every drug
He had the
imaginable.
minister thing down, though. I was hook, line, and sinker until he goes, but I'm not Christian, though. I'm like, what? If you
This
just
is like, wait.
Yeah, but What about when he read out of that book for like 3 years? Like,
Yeah.
I was like,
Right?
when is this shit gonna end?
Y'all didn't even let me read. You know, you over here reading your scriptures, you cherry picking. I'm like, bro, I read a chapter.
And I
What
just
are you
opened the
talking
book and
about?
it landed here. I just opened it and I landed here. Yeah.
While the page is folded.
So with the Course in Miracles, that's actually a very famous, it's a very famous book of people that study the Bible as well. So it's got I know the book that he was reading. It's like the marriage of spirituality with Christianity, and Marianne Williamson is who I'm a big fan of. Talked a lot about Course in Miracles. It's definitely got its positives. I think he might have done some drugs while reading it, which maybe made it a little bit different. And again, watching him read that one page, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, I'm trying to be on your side, and I was a lot, especially with his own testimony. But then at the end, it just was like, you've explained why everybody should be a Christian, and then said you're not a Christian. I was so confused.
This is the grace I'm talking about. I'm like,
got hoodwinked.
You triggered me. I'm like, this Russo's giving this guy all this grace, and he's full of shit right now. Like, you can't see he's full of shit, and all I see is Russo. Like, you guys are laughing at him, shaking my head. Listen to his testimony. I'm like, bro, he's lying. He didn't open the Bible to Job. He couldn't even tell me about Job. I don't. I'm like, so you realize Job didn't go to hell, right? Yes, he did. You know, the bottom of his feet. I'm like, bruh, what chapter? What verse? Oh no, I just opened to Job.
Okay. I don't think he was lying, to be clear. I just think he's an odd dude. I don't think he was lying about his own testimony, but he just discredited his whole I mean, the whole part of a testimony is like, this is my testimony that brought me to God. So how's your Christian faith now? Oh, I don't fuck with him. But like, what the hell? Sorry, Nancy. I mean, so weird.
I missed the part where his blistered feet, his funky ass blistered feet came into play during that whole, I was like, why are we talking about your feet? I don't understand. Was he relating that to something?
He was. He said, I went to hell. You know, I was in the middle of the street screaming, Mom. I'm like, bro, you had a bad trip. What are you talking about? That wasn't a spiritual journey between you and God, and he was bringing you out of hell, bro. You had a bad trip. And I said that. I'm like,
bad
I think
acid.
you just
it was bad
had
acid.
some bad drugs, but, you know, I'm going to appreciate your story. But I definitely called him out towards the end. It was a lot. Bryson had to rage quit.
Which I think is so,
I was rolling.
I hate rage quitting. It's like at that time, I don't think anybody was winning the conversation yet. Like, he had just got done reading a whole page, and I was like, okay, things are starting to get a little fishy. And then Bryson rage quit, and I would have liked to have heard a little bit more of the conversation. But this is funny too. God speaks to him, but he's not a Christian. I thought that like if you're not a Christian, how is God speaking to you? Like, I can't even talk to somebody it's like in a gang if I'm not in the gang. So it's like, how can you imagine? Hey, I'm not cool with you guys. I think you're all a bunch of criminals, you Bloods and Crips. But hey, can we have a conversation? No, you can't. You get shot. That's not how it works. Oh, that's funny. I think it's become a thing. Sorry, Nancy.
Yes, it has. We need to get a shirt with that.
Sorry, Nancy.
Right, yeah, she was the original one. I love that she's kind of like, she's owned it. There was one other guy a couple weeks ago that's like, this was much better before you all swore. Like, it was much better now that you
left. Sorry, Nancy shirt. Yep.
Sorry.
If we had Nancy even on right now,
Nancy Smith, if you're here, say hi.
She got Nancy.
I think Nancy dipped because we said the F-bomb too much. Her poor little heart couldn't take it.
No, Nancy gets down with it. She just reprimands. I love Nancy, but no, that's no. If we had like a million followers, we could definitely get down with some Sorry Nancy shirts. That's our goal. We got to get big enough one day that we have Sorry
Nancy shirts.
All right, let's get started. What do you want to talk about first? Oh, can somebody do me a favor, Casey? Since you're always the man with the plan, can you do me a favor and get the link up to share it for the Truth Will Set You Free / what used to be the BTC backup page, because we currently have let's see, we've got 22 people on the regular YouTube, which we'll be getting off of shortly, which I think Kevin, somebody's asking about Kevin will be back next week. He's got his LSATs, he's busy, etc. But yeah, so we're trying to be careful on the YouTube, but we'll leave it there, because I think it's ironic. The things that got us in trouble, by the way, you can see on every major news station: CNN, Fox, all of them talking about how these don't work. And I'm not talking about Native Americans. I'm talking about masks. Okay.
It's in the private chat.
Russo's getting canceled by the end of 2022.
I can't do this show right after I watch Steven Crowder. It's impossible. I can't do it. All right. So here is, if you guys want to watch it on the BTC backup page, because once we start talking about V updates, Wendy or whoever. All right. I'm going to put this only on, I'm getting a wow. That means I must have said something wrong. So this is the one you guys should be watching it on. Do me a favor right there. You don't have to type that out. Just if you see it in your own chat, click on it. YouTube, Facebook, you're fine. YouTube, go over. Okay. Let's start with Rogan's apology tour and cancel culture. Why not? You want to start there? Let's go ahead and do that.
Let's do it.
You already had a conversation with the quote unquote old heads, you ageist. So go ahead and you lead off the conversation, Suni, and we'll go from there.
Hey, look, I think it's funny that she got a 2-week suspension, right?
Talk about
Whoopi. I do think it's funny. But I don't think it's funny why she got it. I don't, because it's true censorship at the base of it. And for that simple reason, if it was for any other reason, I would probably be like, you got it. But for the reason that she was suspended, I just couldn't. Like, it goes against morals for me. Like that, I have integrity. I'm not going to celebrate that. She got essentially suspended for saying an opinion, and it's whack. It's whack. And I don't think conservatives should be embracing cancel culture, because it's going to bite you in the ass, man. When it becomes normalized and people are like, well, it's already normalized. Actually, no, it's not, because we all react to it. The left reacts to it. The right reacts to it. At this point, some of us all still think it's wrong, but it's going to get to the point where it's done so much that nobody gives a damn anymore. Kind of like the word racist. Nobody cares about the word racist anymore. Soon, nobody's going to care about somebody being canceled or disappeared or whatever you want to say about it. That's my take on it.
I'll let anybody else go first. Mo, I know you talked a little bit on the show as well.
Yeah, so I think that what she said was grossly inaccurate. I think there's a difference between having an opinion on something and just completely misstating the facts, which I think she did. So, number one, we should call out somebody when they do that. However, Whoopi constantly does that. That entire show constantly does that. So that is why I was all for the canceling of Whoopi Goldberg. I still am for the canceling of Whoopi Goldberg, because I feel like, you have to get what you put out. And they constantly talk about canceling everybody. Had that not been Whoopi Goldberg, had that been, a white person saying slavery wasn't about slavery or wasn't about the mistreatment of human beings or whatever, whatever they want to say, the media would have a shitstorm to say. They would be canceling people left and right. So, if it wasn't that show, I might think differently, but I have just been waiting for this to happen. Like, I think I willed this to happen. Because I watch The View for content, and I cannot stand those girls. I cannot stand them.
It could be the most divisive show on television. Ignorant, divisive, dumb, stupid. Here's my opinion. Cancel culture is one of those terms that has become just wildly thrown around, like the way Democrats say assault rifles. Like it's a terminology. There is a specific thing. Cancel culture is so specific and we use it too much. Accountability is, if you make an incorrect statement, you should be held accountable. The right is getting canceled left and right for no matter what they do wrong. So the left has this little bit more carte blanche to do whatever they want. What's ironic about this statement to me is this was not even in the top 10 of the worst things that Whoopi Goldberg has done. Do I think that she should have been suspended? Sure. I really don't care. I think she should be fined, definitely, because that's the only way you actually get any response from anybody is fining them. The right will get fired. The left, at least, maybe we hit their pocketbook. I don't know. I do think there needs to be accountability. And here's the deal. Do I think Whoopi should be fired at one point? Yes. If you make 10 mistakes and you continuously do not fix your mistakes and say stupid shit over and over again, then I believe it's okay to fire them. That's not canceling. That's somebody not doing their job because they have a platform and they can't just say stupid shit.
Okay,
Easy?
that's fair, right? Before
Yeah,
Easy
so-
goes, that's fair.
Go-
But I'm going to say, if we're going off that framework, which I think is completely fair, then no conservative should be complaining about Roseanne Barr because she didn't get fired just for that one statement she made. She got fired because of a history of doing stuff. So technically, she didn't get canceled by your definition that you just gave. When somebody keeps doing something, the network has a right to kick you off.
She had very little. I mean, unless you go back to her spitting during the national anthem in 1988, like she had been pretty friggin' clean for several years. And she also created what I heard was a very good work environment. People liked working for her, even that were on the opposite side of the political coin. Like her whole team was leftist. So it was just, from what I understand, Roseanne said one wrong thing, and she got fired for that one thing. Easy, go ahead.
So so two points on this. One is that Whoopi is representative of a network, and so when you talk about accountability, you have to talk about ratings and all of those kinds of things that come with it. And so when people are looking at cancel culture, I think we've substituted. And I said this kind of in comments during Suni's live that she did with this, which is that if we substitute the word cancel for capitalist culture, then all of a sudden what is good will thrive and what is not good will die off on its own. And so I think, I don't think canceling Whoopi over this is at all reasonable. But what people should be doing is tuning out, switching networks, going to a different program. And the argument can be made, well, there isn't, another platform, all of those kinds of things. But in the back of my mind, if we can go back to capitalist culture rather than cancel culture, this problem shakes out pretty quickly for everybody across the board.
Problem is, Mo and I are on the same thing. Like, I don't watch The View, but I watch all the clips from it. I know Nikki watches it. She sends me stuff all the time. Did you see what this crazy Anthony? Did you see what these women said? And honestly, it's their whole show is clickbait. So it's like, can you cancel the show? I don't know. You can't. And honestly, if we had a awake nation, it would be a great show to go, this is everything that's wrong in the country. Problem is, there are people that just aren't able to discern, and they watch it and they're like, oh my God, did you hear that? Whoopi said it. It's got to be true. Go ahead, Suni.
That is a very fair counterpoint.
But isn't that like, in a sense, that would be what the left is doing, because what they're saying is divisive and bad. We need to completely cut it off from society. Well, society has their own. They make the choice on what they watch. And if they want to remain ignorant, then remain ignorant. I don't want to control what they watch.
The only thing I'm offended by is they canceled the only black person on the panel during Black History Month.
I love that photo that they did.
Yeah, but they've been rotating black chicks in all week.
Oh, really?
Oh, have they really?
So it's Equal Opportunity Month.
Yeah,
got it.
Right.
Yeah.
They brought in Star Jones. You would think
No, she's
the right
suspended
thing
for
to
2
do would
weeks.
be to
She's
bring
just
on.
suspended, right? Yeah.
Welcome to
right
The
thing to
View,
do would be
ladies
to
and
bring
gentlemen.
Jew.
Affirmative Action Week.
See, if they really wanted to show they were sorry, they would have brought a Jew on. You know what I mean? Like, let's fill Whoopi's spot with a Jew. Seriously.
Can I be honest? Can I be honest really quick?
Go for it,
Right,
anti-Semite.
Remember, we're on social media.
You knew where I was going with this, huh?
Yep.
So you know how white people are just to the point where they're like, man, fuck race, bro, and like, fuck you black person, for saying this ignorant shit about me, and then you get caught. What do you mean, you black person? The fact that they keep fanning the freaking flames on this anti-Semitic issue is going to make people start hating Jews. I'm going to be honest. Well, it's no different than what they did with race with black people. It really painted a lot of black folks in a bad light, and I know a ton of black people, right? Because I grew up around them.
Hey, I got friends that are black. I get it.
A lot of black people don't even give a shit about the stuff that they're talking about, but because you keep fanning the flames, right. You like paint a brush of this is what black people are like. Well, you're doing that to Jews, bro. And I'm going to be honest. True. If I hear another Jew offended, I'm just gonna let loose because it's like, what are we participating in the oppression Olympics? Who can be more oppressed than the next group? Like, why does it matter?
To preview, we are going to do an Olympic show. I want that to be one focus because there's a lot of. I mean, should we be competing? I think you can look at it in two different ways. What's going on there? It's like it's mind-boggling, and also, and then you add the fact that this is genocidal communist China, and then you add their ridiculously strict COVID testing, and it's like, holy gosh, like this is ridiculous. And then you've got, and I can't wait to talk about this. This is my favorite, the American chick that was raised in America, that last minute defected. You could look at her Twitter from like August and they're like, why are you competing for China? And she just got a bag of cash and now she's modeling for China. She wins gold. And she legit was like, I am going to be the face of what women could be in China. I'm like, yeah, if they're raised in the United States, like this could be the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Anyways, and of course the American media is like, oh, she went to China. Congrats. I can't not now. Cannot watch Steven Crowder right before we're on here. Otherwise, I'd like to talk like Steven Crowder, and he somehow doesn't get in trouble for it. But I will. All right. So let's.
Sounds like I Am Sam.
Oh, I can't go where I want to go. We need something else here. Okay. Rogan's apology tour is also part of cancel culture, and then we'll move on this one. Oh yeah, this is actually we'll talk about this on the Olympic stuff. Somebody said, is this a what's one of those video games where they're like where it's like alien or where it literally looks. Have you guys seen this? It's got the nuclear stacks in the background of the large like half
where the ski jump is.
Yeah, where the ski jump is. Oh, Suni, you haven't seen this yet? I see it in your face.
Pull it up.
Steel factory. I don't think they're nuclear factories. They're all like but they are cooling stacks that are the same.
All right, we'll find it.
Here, I got the picture right here.
You got it. You got to bring this up. It's.
Trump told him to stop spreading this information.
Because if it was nuclear power, then we should be doing some nuclear power over here too.
They look like reactors
for a steel plant.
That's a really big cooling stack.
Well,
yeah, look.
Holy shit!
No,
that's legit.
It's wild.
I brought this up during
That's
work.
Like Chernobyl. What the hell?
I'm like, what in the world? Do they not have snow? Why do we have Winter Olympics where there's no winter? Like, what in the world is going on here? And by the way, Beijing is the first city to host both summer and winter Olympics. And
nuclear winter, guys.
See, are those really just cooling stacks? Because that looks nuclear to me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry.
That looks nuclear.
Yeah, that looks
I'm sorry.
hella nuclear.
Thank you. No.
They're gonna have Chernobyl all over again. All right.
Yeah. Like, hey, just so
I
you know,
researched it a little bit, and I saw conflicting arguments. There was a couple of people who said they were stacks from a steel factory, which requires tremendous cooling stacks similar to nuclear plants. But my whole point is, if they got nuclear power over there, we need to bring it back over here again because that's the jam.
Well, yeah, it's very functional. But I mean, they say to the athletes, if you're thirsty, please drink out a bottle. Suggestion.
Somebody clip this.
I can't do it. I gotta stop.
How do you have been by? That's what you sound like.
What a little green. No worry. Okay.
Wait. You know there's no R in their language, right? You know there's no R in their language, right?
It's chlorophyll.
L.
There's no L. It's chlorophyll.
There's no L.
It's chlorophyll. Really? It's not green. It's chlorophyll. It's healthy. Fuck, Anthony, stop it. Okay. Joe
This
Rogan.
is how we're gonna get our new YouTube page brought down.
Well, I mean, if Crowder gets away with it on YouTube, he gets in trouble because he's like, election bad, whatever.
It's been good while it lasted.
Okay. All right. So Rogan, here's the thing with Rogan. We talked about his first apology last week. And I kind of thought it was strategic. I thought it was interesting. And I think it was on point. And then he did the whole apology. And I know Suni and I are going to disagree because there's the clip. Do you have the clip handy anywhere, Suni, of him talking about?
I think I do because
apes,
I had it on the
show
the other night.
Yeah, you played it the other night. So he talked about the Planet of the Apes, and then he went in, and I do think it was a failed attempt at comedy.
But
which one do you want? Do you want the apology or the ape one?
The ape one. The apology's long. People can go.
Oh no, I clipped it. I was like, I'm not posting this whole thing. I clipped it where he apologized for the whole black people comment, which was hilarious in itself.
Well, India Ari, by the way, like her whole thing was talking about how he used the N-word, and she only talked about the ape comment, which he didn't use the N-word there, and he never once said somebody is an N-word. He was just replicating.
He was reading.
He was reading, which I don't think I never did that. I was like, I feel like this is a bad idea. I'm just gonna say N-word, but like I never was like this. There's no way, because like people are gonna clip something out. It's not a good idea. But that I don't don't blame him for. And I think he should have apologized super quick, being like, sorry, it was bad. I shouldn't have done it. But the ape comment, do you think he should have apologized or shouldn't have?
No, not at all. Okay. Why not? I mean,
I'm okay with it. To appease people, and I know it's appeasing, but it's like, you know what? It sounds terrible when I hear it now. I don't do it now. I shouldn't have done it then, but I can't change that. Moving on. That would have been okay for me. But the ape comment, I think, deserved a little bit of discussion. But again, this should have been done in 45 seconds, not in a 6-minute clip. However, Mo, I think, was the one that talked about the library in the background. Was that you that talked about it on the show?
Yeah, because I had said I personally think that he was kind of like making a mockery of the left and like saying all the buzzwords that they want him to say. And then he had a bookshelf behind him, which was very like reminiscent of like Kim Klacik and Major Williams and like all these leftist, people that do some shit and then they fuck up and then they got to have the bookshelf behind them because that's the only way we can take them seriously. I found that bookshelf, by the way, on Amazon. It's like a paper that you just like tape in the background.
Oh, that's funny.
Obviously Joe's was like a real legit bookshelf, but I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Do you think he was dog whistling then? Not the way that people use the term dog whistle for Trump, but like actually dog whistling?
Yeah, I kind of think so. Because like I said yesterday, he posted like a thing yesterday where he was out at dinner saying like, this is how bothered I am. And he was like out having a steak dinner and he was like, I'm on shrooms, like he didn't give a shit. He wasn't out there like, living a quiet life because he said the N-word.
Was he having steak or was he having beef and broccoli? Okay.
I don't know. He was getting after Tony Hinchcliffe for ruining it though. And then he started talking about how the whole world is connected in fire. He was having a great time.
He was having a great time.
I wanted to put Casey's face up. He's just oh, he seems so sad. You've been here for hours.
You want to know why we get
okay.
All right. It's like Donald Trump has a microphone right now. God damn.
Joe Rogan shouldn't have apologized. He said nigger because he was reading nigger off of a screen or telling a story. I don't think he should have apologized for the whole ape thing either.
I thought you said the ape thing was racist.
I was holding conservatives responsible. This is what I was saying. This is why I said I feel like what I'm saying is missing people, right? If Joe Biden were to say that, automatically he's racist. Well, because he got a history. It doesn't matter. The word ape and black people used together and historical references, it's a racial slur. This is what it is.
I
so it doesn't matter who's using it.
But he caught himself first. So it was, the thing is, Joe Biden's never trying to tell a joke. He's not like Satchel Paige, that old Negro buddy of mine. Like, you can't.
But Negro is not a racial slur.
It is in 2021.
No.
It's something you just don't say. It's dated. So again, I think it was a.
But he said the full N-word. He said the full N-word when he was like, we don't need any more. Well, fill in the blank.
He was reading
Congress or something.
He was reading somebody.
He
was quoting somebody else's comment. But still, again, not okay.
But again.
So the big difference, though, is Joe Rogan corrected himself 4 seconds later. He goes, oh, that sounded really racist. That was bad. Like, he knew it right away. It's like when you are constantly telling jokes on the edge, and if anybody's ever seen one of his comedy shows, he is always on the edge. So if you're telling jokes on the edge and you can immediately understand that was not funny, it's like in his head, he's like, Planet of the Apes. And at the time, he was a hardcore leftist, and he's like, I can get away with it. That sounded pretty racist. Like, I think he caught himself. You've never once have heard Joe Biden go like, oh, I was wrong about that. Black people can use the internet. My bad. Like, that sounded really racist to me, guys. Like, he's never once
But again,
corrected.
he wasn't on a stage saying this. He literally was like recalling a story in case it came up of him and his friends walking down the street after a movie. Like this was like a conversation between friends.
Yeah,
so
but it's live.
We have to keep that in mind, you know.
I think there's also some context to it, which is he was speaking kind of directly about where he was in one area and then was in a different area where the demographics were just completely different. And I saw the reference more as a reference to like, oh, I could have mistaken myself when I got out of the cab as being in a different country, right? Now, I don't think it makes it right, but to that point, he did correct himself very quickly, knowing that the connotation of what he was saying was a borderline at best and counterintuitive to say the least.
I'm just saying, if anybody else outside of him were to say that, it would be a problem. It would. And I don't know why people are denying it. It would be a problem. We'd be doing shows about it. This person, especially if they were a leftist, like it would be a problem. But because it's Joe Rogan, it's like, it's just a joke.
If Joe Rogan said that, if Joe Rogan said that a year ago, I think it's a different story. I'd be like, shit. Even if he corrected himself, but we're talking 9 years ago when people still said the RETARD word without any issues. The people said, oh, that's GAY, or oh, that's like, there was just a difference in things that were said then, because it was the beginning of iPhones. I think it was like 2012, 2013. It doesn't make it okay, but the fact that he caught himself is okay. I think in this day and age, if it would have been a verbal slur mistake made in 2019, 2020, different story.
Okay, fine. I'll concede on that point. But this apology, I just wish he would have been like, look, I said it, and you know what, my bad. But when he explained it, yeah, I said this, but I'm gonna just play it. When he explained it, I was like, bro, you're full of shit. Just own what you did.
And there's another clip that I have to address. There's a clip from 11 years ago. I was telling a story on the podcast about how me and my friend Tommy and his girlfriend, we got really high. We were in Philadelphia and we went to go see Planet of the Apes. And we didn't know where we were going. We just got dropped off by a cab and we got dropped off in this all black neighborhood. And I was trying to make the story entertaining. And I said, we got out and it was like we were in Africa. It's like we were in Planet of the Apes. I did not, nor would I ever say that black people are apes, but it sure fucking sounded like that. And I immediately afterwards said, that's a racist thing to say. Planet of the Apes wasn't even in Africa. I was just saying there's a lot of black people there. But then I went on to talk about what a positive experience it was and how much fun it was.
Bruh.
See, that to me, like I would have been okay with you saying, I said it, I shouldn't have said it, you know, end it there. But to be like, I know in no way meant to compare black people to apes.
Yes,
like,
you did.
That's what I like to call.
Like, just admit it.
That's what I like to call it. Mediocre apology.
Oh, Jesus. No, and Tim Pool was saying the same thing. I was watching him just earlier today, and Tim Pool also was making an assumption, but from his point, what he was making with it, I actually agree with. He's thinking that Joe Rogan was trying to clear the air and do this because he's thinking he got part ownership or a bunch of shares of Spotify with his deal. And he's just trying to clean it up and just make everything go away. And you could tell. And that's where I don't think that apology is not a Joe Rogan style conversation. It was not. Joe Rogan is much more just, well, soft approach, but direct at the same time. And that was not it. That was not him. And so someone wrote that, or he was just being super overly talkative, which is generally a sign of being of lying. And that's where I'm like, I don't like the apology from him at all. Absolutely.
Yeah,
not.
you should.
Or he was high.
It was like
he looked high.
He might
He's
have
like,
been.
yeah, I said it, but I wasn't talking about black people. But it was in Africa, and I'm like, bruh, you're making this worse. Shut up.
I think so that is the point that I think is interesting. Well, I think it does. It makes it worse because if he just was straight to it and said, look, I said some stuff. It is what it is. It's in the past. We're not saying it again in the future. clap, clap, let's go, right? Like that would appease the people who listen to him most often. Whereas this has created a firestorm. And what it looks like is they couldn't get him on medical tyranny. They couldn't get him on this. So now they're hitting him with racism, right?
Got him on race.
So
Exactly.
Like they're just hitting down the chopping block.
Have you guys seen this video yet?
No.
The clip together, because obviously the part of what I want to talk about is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, Captain Joe Biden, fangirl, decided to give support to Joe Rogan. Then he found out about his use of the N-word. So then they have this hilarious edited clip using you. I mean, it's real. It's just not at the same time. But this is pretty funny.
Okay, if The Rock didn't run over Stone Cold, then who did? Who's going to step forward? Now, Mick, if you need even further clarification, let The Rock tell you in Chinese. Look at Chinese. Ding bong, ding dong, he's Stone Cold. It's ridiculous. Oh my goodness.
So good. It's so good.
That is Russo tonight.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. That's way worse than Russo. What's
that? Chinese hate speech?
No, he's not. Of course not. I mean, it just shows this lack of. It's like The Rock had to jump on. You can't tell me The Rock didn't like think about it. And he's like, oh, I'm going to rescind my apology and like not think back to his time in the WWE where they do so much off the wall shit. Like there is nothing off limits in the WWE. Like I'm surprised there's not clips of him not using the F word, not the F-U-C-K, but you know, some other words like that.
Bundle of sticks.
Bundle of sticks. Like I can't imagine that like he could think in his head like, well, I'm glad that my background is completely clear. Like you can't be that dumb. You can't be that stupid.
Or what about that video of him on SNL? I think it was SNL where they were talking about the robot that molests children.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, they were showing a bunch of like the questionable Rock clips and then like the blackface stuff with Trudeau, and I'm like, how did they not show The Rock talking about killing, was he like a child killer, what was that? That clip was interestingly kind of funny, but weird.
He was like a scientist.
Yeah.
He was a scientist and he invented a robot that molested children.
A child molesting robot. And it was a well-written, actually oddly well-written piece for Saturday Night Live. But it was also going like, are they hinting towards truth here? Or anyways.
They're grooming people.
Right.
You know who is a child molesting looking robot?
Joe Biden.
Zuckerberg looks like he could be a robot that's like, oh, boobies.
So he's a weirdo.
Yeah. He looks weird.
To this point of The Rock being an interesting person, I disagree with vehemently. Did anybody catch what happened on Twitter a few days ago where they flat out found transphobic tweets that he had made?
No.
Who's that?
I mean, I'm transphobic, so I might agree with them.
Well, the point was that it was in bad grace, right? So like he got caught telling this lady Katie Robin.
This is The Rock. Yeah.
Is it a real lady?
This is his tweet.
I can't see it.
Don't be angry, Miss Katie. It's not our fault turning tranny tricks to put yourself through nursing schools. Shh.
Hey, that's lit. Let's go.
Like,
I saw that.
And this was like a whole back and forth that he had with this lady or dude, or I don't know what it was, but it was to that point of like The Rock separating himself from Joe Rogan over this crazy stuff, and then nobody wants to talk about
does he forget his whole life?
Right?
Does he forget about all that?
It must.
Can you smell what The Rock is cooking? It's not good. Okay. I should probably bring this Adonde. All right, we're gonna do this will be our last subject on this YouTube, where we still have this YouTube up. Let me see where we got right now. So we have most people are on the BTC backup, aka Truth Will Set You Free. So if you are on the page that you can see this, which is our typical Be the Change page, because we're not allowed to talk about anything that has any scientific truth to it, we are on a 2-strike warning. We're going to be moving that to our backup page. We're going to do one more topic. Let me try to find, where did I put the Adonde clip? Let me see if I can find it real fast. You know what? Let's just go ahead and do a quick quick talk about the bill from 2019. Let's do that, if that's all right. Suni, if you want to bring that up, the anti-Semitic discussion from DeSantis.
Sure, hold on, I'll have to pull it up.
While
I wasn't prepared.
No,
oh, is that what you were talking about yesterday on your live, Sudi?
Yeah.
So this is a bill from 2019 that DeSantis signed into law, and it is essentially an anti-Semitic bill.
Yes.
But I think there's some nuances.
Gender identity in here, which was bonkers to me. I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go with that. All right. So from this point on down is the most important parts of the bill. The beginning is just saying what they are taking out and inserting and what needs to be acknowledged. So pretty much this is for public educational institutions from K through 20. They must treat discrimination by students or employees or resulting from institutional policies motivated by anti-Semitic intent, right? So any student, teacher, school who is caught doing any of the examples below here, they would lose their state funding and what they said would be deemed anti-Semitic. While that's cool, right? We have what's called a civil rights bill already that covers race. So why they need their own bill in the state of Florida is beyond me. But what really alarms me was the fact that they are limiting what you can say and question a Jew on, which is crazy. Why are we centering kids to the point where they can't express their curiosity as far as history and examine other pieces of history to find truth? Like, why are we just cutting it out altogether? And here's one of them. Making mendacious, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews, such as, or the power of Jews as a collective, which is what we've all said plenty of times in this panel regarding the government, especially but not exclusively the myth about a world Jewish conspiracy or Jews controlling the media, economy, government, or other societal institutions. Why can't we talk about this? Why can't we talk about the Holocaust? If someone felt like, hey, it's not exactly, it didn't go down exactly how you said, why would that be deemed anti-Semitic?
Well, okay, so my question becomes like, it's not saying we can't talk about the Holocaust, but I think there's some questions about challenging it. And a lot of those have, because a lot of the things that quote unquote challenge it have been proven and deemed false. There is a group that there's a group of people in this country that think the Holocaust never happened.
Never happened, yeah.
And that's pushing the envelope. Now, I don't think a school will be opposed to discussing, because I think it's some gray area. Like, I don't think this is covered where some people will say 6 million Jews died. Some people will say 2 million Jews died. I think that's a conversation. Now, I do have some problems with this bill. I think the fact that they have an unquestioning eye of Israel, and I am an Israel supporter over Palestine, but that doesn't mean I believe Israel is innocent. The fact that it doesn't, it's almost like in this bill it says you really can't question Israel. I do. There's a little bit of government overreach in this bill, which I will agree with.
So you said it shouldn't be challenged because it's already been historically verified, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Slavery has been historically verified, but there are still several holes in that story. And we openly discuss those things. Why are the Jews why is there separation? Well, you can question slavery, and we can actually talk about what did and didn't happen. You know, Kanye West can say slavery was a choice and we all hop on board, but questioning the Holocaust is a no-no. I don't understand that.
But give me an example of a hole in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
Well, the number of people that actually were murdered.
I don't think it's up for a question. Like they're not saying that. Well, no, I don't think that they're saying that's against the rules. I think based on the verbiage, again, it is a little bit gray. My verbiage it sounds like you cannot question that there was a Holocaust. Read that line. I can't see it.
Accusing the Jews as a people or the state of Israel of inventing or exaggerating the Holocaust. What I just said falls under exaggerating the Holocaust.
I think 2 million or 6 million is both pretty bad. I think saying exaggerating means, well, the Holocaust, there wasn't really any, camps there. It was more of just a slavery.
I
It
get
wasn't
that,
really.
right?
I think there's some
But
gray area.
why can't I say that? That's the overall point. Why
'Cause
can't a student say that?
Because it's blatantly false. Like, well, it's also saying that it's not saying that a student can't say it. They're saying that it can't be taught.
No. A student can't say this. This applies to educational
Can't question it.
institution must treat discrimination by student or employee or the institution. Students are involved in this. Why can't a student ask that? Why can't a student say that?
So what happens if a student questions something and they go, I have my granddaddy said there was no such thing as the Holocaust. So what happens to that student?
So from what DeSantis said, because I watched his press conference after he signed this, he said, look, if we do find out that this is something that is being fostered or communicated in the school, then I'm cutting your state funding.
I don't know. I'd like to see how it's in action. It's similar to CRT. Like, I think CRT is overblown a bit. I think in some place everybody's like, because then you've got the far left that's like, Black history is not CRT, and we're like, we know that. So I think there is some gray areas where some parents freak out. They're like, I don't want my student learning about slavery. And it's like, that doesn't happen very often. So it gets kind of confusing and muddied down. Like, I think that there is some quote unquote grace on this where you can have a very basic discussion. But I truly believe that if it ever is deemed as over the line, the teacher is supposed to silence it, which I'm not a huge fan of.
Fundamentally, I think that you're right, though, Suni. Like, why do we need a bill like this in order for it to be right? Like, because like there's a difference between being a Holocaust denier and somebody who's saying, well, was there 2 million Jews that were killed, and 2 million Polacks and 2 million, like, there's a whole host of people in that group that were not necessarily Jewish, right? And so
exactly,
I think the tenor of the discussion should be, why does this bill exist when we don't need it? We have historical facts, and what I kind of took from some of the line I read in it was, this is really about like not letting it rage out of control. But I don't see.
There's no need for it.
Really is applicable in some senses.
And even in Florida, right? The representatives were like, bro, do not sign this. The Jews that were there, they were like, don't sign this. I think there was 32 of them that were against this. Like, don't sign this. This is not necessary.
Who was saying
that? The only reason that it was signed.
Well, you're saying representatives in the House, or Senate?
In Florida.
Because this bill passed 100% unanimously. Like, that's the thing that's weird about this bill. Like, it passed 100%. Not one person said no to this bill.
Not one person.
DeSantis couldn't even veto this bill if he wanted to.
But he doesn't want to veto it.
Two-thirds of the vote.
He was the one who pushed it. He was happy to sign it.
I know, but it's weird that people said don't sign this, but then they either didn't show up to vote or voted yes. That's so weird.
This is a good pretext question. I don't know, but maybe.
No, there weren't incidents in schools. It was just a overall national reaction to the increasing of anti-Semitic behavior. Remember when the whole thing that was going on with Palestine and Israel? And that was actually 2 years ago. But before then, you had an so-called increase of anti-Semitic behavior then. So it's not like things are going on in a school and they're like, okay, we have to do something about this. There was no reason for him to do it. Like, there's no reason for this. You have the civil rights era. I should be able to question a student, a teacher, whoever should be able to question the Holocaust without getting in trouble or losing funding. That's absurd. Imagine if this said you cannot question slavery. You cannot make a black student feel like you are degrading what happened with slavery, we would all be up in arms.
So
Why
do
is
you
this a
think?
bill?
Yeah.
So
That is kind of happening.
Sure.
What about for CRT? If there's a lot of
I'm against CRT.
Right, I know, but there's states like Texas, I believe, that is saying that if you allow CRT in your school district, you're going to lose funding.
I don't think that's right. I don't think they should cut funding, but I think parents should be able to opt out of it and say, I don't want this taught to my kid.
Well,
so how do you stop it from happening then without actually?
In a capitalistic society, the funding is how you move things around and you change decisions, right? And I think that is a good way of doing it is by cutting funding.
It's such a tough area, especially those were words that just came out of a libertarian's mouth. So,
I want to save money. I don't want to freaking add more $30 trillion to debt. Jesus.
One of the things that was interesting, and I kind of read through the bill, I skimmed it. I didn't go line for line, but it does kind of allude to you can't criticize Israel.
It does allude to it.
Yeah,
right. And one of the big things about that for me, right, is you can look just 30 years, 40 years into history, and Israel had worked as an arms dealer basically for Contra wars. They were like a safe haven where illegal trade could happen. So I don't think there needs to be a bill, but I think there might be some missing context here, and I don't know what it is, and I don't know where to put my finger on it.
So because it's Black History Month, we are going to have a show about CRT a little bit more. I've got a couple people that we might have on. So this question is interesting because CRT was never taught until recently. It's a newer. Well, it was taught in universities before this, but in terms of elementary school and high school, there was no CRT until recently, until it started getting passed down the line from certain political science and collegiate courses. So
can I just contend a little bit and say, growing up in California, the CRT curriculum that they're trying to pass into law was widely accepted amongst history teachers in many, many schools, including my own. Now, was it as drastic as what CRT is trying to push? No, but there was absolutely kind of it was a stepping stone, our logical stepping stone in California where I grew up.
It's possible. Very, very possible. I think it's a gray area, and I don't think there's a correct answer, and I don't love this bill, and I'm shocked that it got 100% approval, especially not as, again, I'm half Jewish and I'm as far from anti-Semitic as possible, but I think we should be allowed to question some things.
Well, I don't speech, right?
Right. I think it should not be taught that there was no such thing as the Holocaust, but I don't think a kid should be punished for asking a question and having a logical conversation with teachers knowing what they can and cannot teach. I do think there should be, you can't have somebody that is teaching that the Holocaust didn't happen. I think that's fair. If they believe it, then they need to just go to the book and be like, here is where 2 million Jewish people died or something. Like sometimes you got to suck it up. It's a tough one. And again, because I also am on the side of Casey. I don't think CRT should be allowed to be taught. But again, I do think that terminology is starting to get blown out of proportion. And I'd love to have a better conversation, a longer conversation for a different day. All right, now let's move on to an idiot. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and share this ESPN clip, which I might have to stop and start a couple times. We'll see. Now this one really, to me, really takes the cake. This really takes the cake. All right. You guys see it all right? Good?
Mm-hmm. With genocide and human rights violations in Tibet region and against Uyghurs in China. The International Olympic Committee chose Beijing while stating it is committed to human rights. Today's opening ceremony, which again you will see tonight, featured a lighting of the torch by 2 members of the Chinese Olympic team, one of which is Uyghur. J.A. Adonde, as a fan and then as a reporter, how do you reconcile enjoying this competition while also considering everything I just said?
This, by the way, to me is one of the crazy, and ESPN says some crazy stuff. This is up there.
I think it's standard in sports right now. You have to have a cognitive dissonance. You need to compartmentalize. We've never had a more enjoyable NFL playoffs in this country, and we've never had more people watching the playoffs. And yet it goes on amid the ongoing allegations against Dan Snyder, owner of the Washington football team, and the continuous concussion concerns, and now the concerns about diversity and the allegations and the questions about competitive integrity, even all of that. And yet we're still enjoying the games. And who are we to criticize China's human?
Here it is right here. Who are we to criticize?
Human rights records when we have ongoing attacks by the agents of the state against unarmed citizens, and we've got assault on the voting rights of our people
Assault
of color
on the voting
in various
rights.
states in this country. So sports, I think it is possible, and it's necessary more than ever to just shut everything out if you are to enjoy the actual games themselves.
So reality here is going to give him a chance to fix the idiocy that he just said.
Appreciate everything you just said there. You have covered 5 Olympic Games, if I have that right, J.A.? Just to follow up here specifically on China here. We're talking about human rights violations. We're talking about genocide. And the IOC...
Like, hey, really quick, J.A., I'm going to give you a chance to fix what you just said. We're talking genocide.
Chose China, specifically said, yes, we will go there, while maintaining they are for human rights and things of that nature, and that sports can conquer that. How do you view it?
Well, again, where can you choose that's free? And look at some of the other recent hosts of the games, including Russia and some other recent plays. It's very hard to find a country that isn't problematic when it comes to human rights, including here. Remember, we had athletes boycott going to Mexico City because of the human rights issues in the United States in 1968, most notably Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I think we can bring attention to it. I think it's notable that we did have a Uyghur participant lighting the torch, and hopefully this will be used to bring attention to it rather than to continue to place these
Woody
issues.
Page, if I could bring you with genocide.
Jeez.
Wow.
By the way, a Uyghur, if anybody's wondering, that's a Muslim out there that is the people that are in
Muslim.
the Chinese Muslim that is in the internment camps and concentration camps and indentured servants and everything that's going on in that country. That is who they are. They had somebody essentially propped up by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, to help light the torch for pictures. There was another person that lit the torch that actually there is news clippings stoned a man to death, and he was one of the Olympic torch bearers as well. So, can anybody rationalize comparing genocide to the egregious voting rights in the United States of America?
No, they don't even compare. All right. I don't know.
She said, "All right."
We live in a clown world, and you just have to get used to it. That's where I'm at. Look, there are going to be idiots on TV, and if you're an idiot person with them and you believe what they're saying, then shame on you, bro. Whatever makes people learn. I'm a person. I had to bump my head 1,000 times before I was like, "Ouch, that shit hurts." So I think a lot of other Americans are like that. Bump your head a few times. Keep saying this stuff.
This is
watch how fast your country. Go ahead.
This is so. I used to watch ESPN religiously. I don't anymore. But Jay Adonde has been a staple for 20 years. And again, I find it fascinating that some of the black pundits, the black reporters, people like Oprah, the ones that have had the great opportunities that America provides to them, instead of teaching black people how great the country can be and how to follow the same path as them, they continue to take this history of how terrible it is, and to literally compare genocide to having to show your ID to vote. If you don't think the Uyghurs of in China would literally be like, really, you're fucking with me right now, right? We're comparing these two things, like. Oh, you had 16 unarmed black men that died last year trying to hurt somebody with or without a gun or without a gun or something that it didn't know. Like, oh, you're comparing that to, oh, I'm Muslim and you now
get beaten to death. Like it's absurd to have that kind of thought process.
I feel like it's pure desperation. Like this is when they start comparing this, genocide to voting rights. Like this is like a strict pull at emotions in order to just pull people in and make them think that everything that's happening in this country is wrong. And it is a tactic that we've seen used 100 times over. The sad part is that probably 60 or 70% of the people watching that are going to think, oh, you know what? That's a good comparison. Like that's where it breaks down for me, is the logic inside of our society is almost zero at this point, that it's disturbing. But
well, the good news is I think viewership, last I heard, had dropped something like 40%. It's
bad.
And it was like one of the lowest since like the Barcelona Olympics.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, let's just pray and hope.
Capitalist culture, not cancel culture.
So before I get into the fired comment, it's interesting. I remember when ESPN turned the tide. I remember seeing this one story, and I went ballistic like before I even had a Twitter. What's so funny? What am I missing?
I'll show you when we get there.
Okay. All right. So there was a story done, and you could tell they purposefully put one of their black female hosts on the story, and there was something in like Tampa or like somewhere in Florida, but it was an industrial district, and it was a gym that had a bunch of equipment, and the story was so built up. It was like a 7-minute story of racism because there was two big black guys that were athletes, obviously like 240 pounds, jacked, ripped, and they were banging on this window because they were looking, and he was an NFL player, looking to buy used equipment, and they looked in and they didn't know if it was being used, and they didn't know if anybody was there that day. So they're banging the crap out of the window, and it scared the girl working at the desk. She was alone. There was two black guys, I think it was 3 black guys and 1 female. And that was their excuse. They're like, there was a female there. It was safe, which anybody that knows human trafficking typically uses a female, by the way. If anybody knows anything, and if you want to learn a lesson, typically a female is used as bait. So anyways, this girl freaked out because you've got these 3 black, white, doesn't matter, 3 big friggin' dudes banging on the window, looking in, trying to see if anybody's there. She got terrified, said, please go away. She was all alone. Called the police. The police came. They put the guy nicely in the back of a cop car while they're having a conversation the whole time. And the guy literally goes, they were really nice to me. Once we figured out it was a misunderstanding, they let me go. And ESPN decided to make a 7-minute story out of it, utilizing at the time one of their very few black female hosts. And it's like, this is everything that's wrong. And I recognized it then. I'm like, they are reaching to have some kind of racist story because that's what sells to the left, and that's what ESPN has become, and that was the beginning of it. And I saw at that point, that's honestly when I stopped watching ESPN. So anyways, should he be fired? Since this goes along with our cancel culture, what should be the accountability for this, Suni?
I mean, it would depend on what the network says. If the network says that this type of talk can't be had on their show, and they let him go because he is held to that contractually, then I think he should be suspended like Whoopi, or fired like any other person has been fired. I don't think I don't think anybody should be receiving special treatment. I think everyone should be treated the same across the board. If you say something that goes against what the company wants, believes, whatever, then you're getting kicked off. If I was on Fox News and I decided to say, quote unquote, F the Jews, and they were like, you gotta go, I can't be like, cancel culture. No, I said something that they don't believe in. So he needs to get his ass suspended, fired, whatever's going to happen based on ESPN.
Nothing's going to happen based on ESPN. But it's interesting. I think you're understanding and I agree, the nuances between where does accountability, contract, and cancel culture, where the lines are so narrow at this point.
I think it becomes cancel culture when the public calls for cancellation specifically because they don't like somebody. Not because they actually violated a contractual agreement, but just because I don't like them, they need to go.
Yeah.
But you're right, Anthony. Like the lines are blurred even on that. Like where does the public draw the line on Are we canceling them because we just don't like what they say? Are we canceling them because they would do it to us? You know, as a tit for tat.
And I like the tit for tat. I like Craig Long said it the other night. He's like, and I've always said this. I think the cancel culture stops when the cancel culture starts to fight back. When all of a sudden they go like, oh God, they're getting us for the same thing. Go ahead, Eric, and then Suni.
I got to interrupt, and I got to say that's a race to the bottom. What they're really trying to achieve is everybody being cancelable. So it doesn't matter whether you're left or right. If we give into that culture and we participate in that culture, we will find ourselves without a First Amendment. And that is the goal. And that's the overarching argument that I will make. This is why we need to go to capitalist culture rather than cancel culture. In a capitalist culture, people can say whatever the hell they want, but they won't get dollars. And so should he be fired? It depends on how much money it's costing the network.
I agree. I think we're saying it in a different way. A capitalist, again, it's that very gray area, but at the same time.
But if we start canceling, then we're racing to the bottom. And
by not putting our dollars in, we are using capitalist culture to cancel culture. It's the same thing.
It's unintended. The consequence is not from a cultural standpoint of I don't like you as a person. It's I don't like what you're saying and your content. And I don't agree with you, and it's a way to vote with your dollars, which allows the society to be sort of disconnected from a culture standpoint, and that's the identity politics.
So do you believe and we're about to get into Trucker Convoy? Do you believe we should do the boycott of GoFundMe?
I believe that is a perfect example of how you vote with your dollar.
Agreed.
So yeah, I like. They are not doing a service for the public. They are doing a service for one group of people. And if they want to participate in that, guess what? As a conservative person, you've lost me. Nobody who opens a GoFundMe account is getting my dollars.
Agreed.
Just period.
Same.
So,
but I just don't see it overriding
culture versus cancel culture, and they're just a little bit different. One plays identity politics, the other one.
It's not. It's all this.
It's a fine line, right? It's a fine line, but the ramifications of how we choose to participate in each subject or each side is really dependent on how we not even use cancel culture. This was my a retort to it, right? Because there's like, well, what do you suggest? Well, when people watch me, and let's just say somebody from Whoopi Goldberg's camp saw me and they're like, yo, look at this video. And she sees me saying, yo, I think Whoopi is absolutely dumb. I think she's an idiot. She's a freaking moron. But I'm going to fight for her rights because you shouldn't be centered on certain things. I think that wins more people over than acting like wild banshees. Like maybe it's because I've already went through it. I've already gone through like
the
phases of.
But that's where you lose me.
Suni, go ahead.
That's where you lose me because we're expecting them to be logical like that, right? Like, hey, I'm going to show you this grace and mercy, and you're going to recognize that I'm giving it to you. They're not.
They're not,
and they don't care.
Like, so why would they recognize you canceling them?
So for the exact reason, Easy doesn't like it. But go ahead, Mo. Go ahead. Yeah, I'll let you finish. Sorry about that. Yeah, sorry.
No. I was going to say for that exact reason.
It's a race to the bottom. And the thing is, if one side is the dominant side for a period of time, they're the dominant side. They are not going to stick up for the other side. They're going to bury the other side. And then when the government or whoever, the overreaching hand, decides to pull it from them, it's too late. Whereas if we start to beat each other down, and this sounds completely opposite to the way that I look at motivation and working with people. But if in this world it's war, essentially, it's an intellectual war to be able to actually have your First Amendment rights. If we beat each other down enough, once we are laying on the ground together, we look at each other and go, oh, this was fucking stupid. And then it's not. It's definitely not too late.
Absolutely.
Then because we've done it to each other.
We start to realize it.
No, I see where I disagree, because at this point, if we've done it to each other, we can fix it. If one side,
I would agree with you, Russo. I would agree if the right was canceling Whoopi. We didn't suspend Whoopi. The left did. We had nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing. If we influenced that, I would be on y'all's side and say, I get your point. But we had nothing to do with the cancellation or the suspension of Whoopi. Her comments about Jews is what got her where she is. Period, point blank. We had nothing to do with it. All we're doing is celebrating it. Woo! She got canceled.
I'll take. Yeah, I'll
actually no. I'm rooting for the suspension to go straight to never again. Are you coming back on the show? That's what I want. I'm not okay with giving a suspension.
Mo, would you watch The View? Would you watch The View if Whoopi wasn't on it?
Actually, to tell you the truth, I watched The View for content. Yeah. To tell you the truth, I didn't mind Whoopi. She was like the least annoying to me out of all of them. I actually liked her.
That's where that fine line is, right? Is if you want Whoopi gone, right? That's like a personal feeling, and I don't think that's wrong. Where I think it gets muddied is, well, is the network losing ratings over it? Because that's really where that cancel is going to happen, right? Is if they're losing ratings or dollars, then they'll cut her off. But if you personally, right, don't feel like, man, I want to watch The View because of Whoopi, that's where that identity politics, that's that fine line, right? And so I just wanted to ask that question because it identifies exactly where that line is for people. Like if you enjoy it because the content is interesting to you, but Whoopi's the problem, that is the culture of canceling, right? Whereas if you just would watch it and didn't care whether Whoopi was on it or not, then that's kind of that's the fine line, right?
So I'm going to tell you. So I watch a lot of Ratchet TV because I do it for content, but every show on TV has your token Black person, your token Jew, white person.
Hold on,
maybe
wait.
An Asian
say that
person,
again. It's
and a
say
Hispanic.
it again. Monique, say it's got its token what? Go through the whole list again.
Token Black person. Oh, okay, token Black person.
Okay.
Token Jew. White guy. And Hispanic person. There you go. I'm just saying, okay? So for instance, I loved, and I know Suni's going to roll her eyes at this, I loved watching the Wendy Williams show. Okay, not because I agree with everything Wendy says, but I found her hilarious. I found her hilarious, okay? Now she's gone, okay? Now she's gone. And I see them going through the token Black person replacements, right? They've had one white person, I think, fill in for her. And I'm sure they're just seeing how the ratings go, when we got the white guy there, when we got the Black guy. And they're doing the same thing on The View. They've had Star Jones. They've had all these other people out there. They're not, I'm telling you, they're looking for her replacement. I really do think so. And then when they bring in her replacement, it's going to cause a ripple effect because those girls have some type of thing together. And
I got an idea.
I'm sure one will retire.
You need a Black woman with a comorbidity. Stacey Abrams.
Boom! All outside.
Boom.
She is wide and all outside. That's right.
That big.
Okay. So we ended up having more people join on the regular page. So let's do this. Last call. We got a 1 minute call before we pull from the regular Be the Change, because we are going to be talking about V's and masks and all the things that YouTube hates us for.
What? Can we talk about this really quick before because this is fun. Yeah. I think you guys are going to die.
Let's go and watch it. Keep repeating this, guys. Go ahead. If you see this on your page on the bottom, please switch in the next 30 seconds to a minute to this right there. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
You guys want to see something funny?
Oh, that's good. Wait, didn't Chris Rock just said something too, didn't he? Chris Rock just said something about how ridiculous crap is. I don't know. All right, last call. That's funny. 30 seconds. 20 seconds. Let's see. Bum, bum, bum. The View doesn't like Abrams. Why not?
Because she wide and all outside.
No, I shouldn't.
By the way, I know Tracy, I know you're Kansas City. Speaking of Kansas City, I'll be speaking this weekend on Sunday morning. And comechangeyourlife.com. Again, that's comechangeyourlife.com. If you want information, you can do it in person or digitally, but I will be giving a motivational conference, speaking at a motivational conference up there this week. We are down to...
I didn't get it.
What's that? Oh, Deborah,
the lady. I didn't get it.
We'll talk about to once we leave this channel, once we leave the other Be the Change, we will talk. We'll start with Crack for Black. No, if you're on Facebook, you're good. If you can see this post, not on the screen, but on your comment section, switch over, please. We're not. Last week, you guys listened much better. Am I wearing a mask? Am I a teacher wearing a mask? Am I having trouble teaching people? If you can see this post in your comments for the...
I think it needs to be said with an Asian accent, and then they'll listen.
Oh, please read this page. Read it. Read it alone. You've been here for an hour. You read now. No? Okay. I don't know if you know this, Joe Rogan. I smoke rocks. This is not the first time I've had penis in my mouth. It's a clip from Fear Factor jokes, if you're wondering. Let's see. Oh, they probably came down on her because she wasn't wearing a mask.
She wasn't wearing a mask. And they all don't wear a mask on their fucking set. Like,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, it's so dumb. I just think it is dumb because she's in front of a bunch of children.
Women are just ruining the country.
I think we just repeal.
Exactly.
If
you don't see it in the comments, you're in the wrong chat or in the wrong one.
No link.
Go to this one.
No, if you do see it in the comments, you're in the wrong chat. If you don't see it, you're in the right place. I know this is incredibly confusing. This is like hurting sheep.
It is.
Okay. We dropped down to 12. So.
Oh, you see 12? I see 15.
I see 12.
You have
to
explain it to the boomers, okay,
Yeah.
Russo?
Man. Sunni. God, calling out being an atheist. Joe Biden doesn't even think you're able to log on to a computer, for God's sake. Jeez. All right, we're going to pull this other.
He doesn't even think you guys have internet. So
you don't know where to get IDs. I mean, this whole thing is just tough.
We all smoke crack, bro. Damn.
According to Joe Biden, you're technically not even black because you didn't vote for him. So
I didn't vote for him.
Yep. And the count of 5, I'm pulling it from that page. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Bye, viewers.
All right. Let's see how many we lose.
Like 10.
Bad. Okay. All right. Hopefully they'll rejoin us. If they can't figure it out. I don't know what else to do at this point. All right. Well, let's talk about crack is black. I am not. This is not a racist statement. It is literally what the program says. It's
clip that.
Yeah. Nope. Nope. According to Joe Biden, crack is black. Go ahead and explain. Somebody explain me what's going on. Explain the law of the San Francisco. And
so you want me to explain it? You say?
I think Sunni's the best to explain it.
Yes, because look, I'm scratching. I need my head to crack.
Oh no! All right, Joe Rogan, let's go. Okay.
They set up a grant fund to hand out crack pipes to prevent infection and promote racial equity. They don't want black people using needles to shoot up. They're just saying, instead of using this needle, let's go ahead and give you a crack pipe and you can still smoke it. And we're going to help you do that. You know, this is the same guy who wrote the 94 crime bill to lock black people up. I said niggas on my TikTok, but bruh, you locked people up for this and now the government is going to do it. By the way, this is completely illegal for any citizen like you or I to be doing, unless we have some sort of permission from the state, local, or federal law, we'd be going to jail. So the government is participating in normalizing crack for black people and painting it as racial equity. That's what it comes down to.
I don't like it. Well, here's the thing. So we talked about this on another episode. Because they were doing, before this, they were talking about having centers where you could go and use drugs safely, which I thought was also abso-friggin-lutely insane. Now the fact that again, I think like all verbiage is used now starting to be directed towards midterm elections. I don't know how this works per se. But the fact that we are looking at this as racial equity, when it's like all we talk about it, what the hell? Now we got it. Somebody pull up what that looks like. I don't even know what that looks like.
I was just about to.
Look, it's Mo's pissed.
Mo's like, what the
That
fuck?
was not cool. That's not cool.
It's a baby's face, yo.
Oh God, please pull it up. Please pull it up.
Like what?
So are you gonna pull it up soon, or are we gonna continue to? Okay.
You can keep going. I'll pull it up.
Just so you know, Al apologized.
Thanks, Al.
I lost my train of thought.
The
but
son and Teletubbies?
I want. Oh, Christine, I think sent it in the chat. I gotta see what this looks like before we move on.
Shut the
Oh
fuck
God.
Al, fuck you, Al.
Oh my God. Do you have it? Here, I'm gonna pull it
The
up.
baby's so cute though, Mo. Come on.
Oh, I gotta share this.
Look at the baby.
Hold on, wait. Can I put her on? How
Can
can
you
I
do
put
a
her
split
on the
screen?
screen? I'm trying to do it right now.
Hold on, I have to. I'll have to open it here. Let me see if this works.
Somebody has
somebody said it earlier, but for equality here, where's all the bongs too? Are they gonna start handing those out on the corner?
We need our pipes too. Shit.
Oh man.
Wait.
Are you gonna put my face in it? Oh, wait. I kind of do look like the baby. Okay, all is forgiven now.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Oh man. Okay. That was excellent. So yeah. So when did it become a racial equity thing for it to be like, all right, it went from we're going to help people not OD, we're going to try to make it safe, which is still complete stupidity to me, in my opinion, to now this is a sign of racial equity, pretty much saying what we say all along. The democratic belief system is to destroy the Black community. Like, you know what? We're not going to stop you from doing any drugs anymore. We are going to help you smoke crack. Can you?
Doesn't make any sense.
Does anybody can somebody tell me how this makes sense in any world? How
I'd like to hear Casey's thoughts.
Racial equity.
My thoughts? Like, this is just complete asinine. This is all just ridiculous. The government is just trying to keep people doing stuff to where they don't even pay attention. They don't vote. They don't want to do anything that is going to be beneficial to society. And that keeps our government in control and will keep our country going down the shitter. That is exactly what my thoughts are.
I mean, seriously, at least when Trump's kids got involved in politics, we got paid maternity leave. With this fuck, whatever the fuck he is.
Oh, you call her a Teletubby and she's like, oh, well, we're talking about this motherfucker and this motherfucker.
Right. Seriously.
So can I put
celebrating this shit?
Can I put big picture something on this? Which is, I think this is part of the pandering, right? Which is, it's part of the belief system from the left that if they give leeway and tremendous, they value the worst in any culture. It doesn't matter what race or ethnicity or whatever, but it kind of speaks to the point of it's how they actually view people. And in that respect, they're saying, well, we want to make it easier and less dangerous for you, right? So it's like an ultimate pandering thing. So if you zoom out on this thing, you can really see how that side of the aisle looks at these different groups and says, this is how we get the vote, right? Is we take some victim mentality here and we place it into a bucket that makes it sound like we're doing a graceful thing. And what they're doing is they're just encouraging people to do stupid stuff. Yeah, this is exactly right.
It's what it is. Democrats are racist and Joe Biden hates Black people.
Is this called the Hunter Biden plan? I don't even know. It's like
the Hunter Biden.
Look, he doesn't smoke crack. He smokes Parmesan cheese, okay?
And he does blow art.
I don't know if you know this, Joe Rogan, but in the last 10 years, it's now legal for me to smoke rocks. It's legal.
Oh, you know, Dave Chappelle's gonna grab a hold of this one.
Oh, well,
he's gonna make a whole special. I cannot wait.
Yeah,
Netflix will sponsor it too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for Mitch, you guys. I unblocked Mitch and Johnny specifically for this, because this topic is going to send me over the edge with them. I think it'll just be a one-woman show, and I'm gonna body all of them. This is how this, just like Eric said, the Democrats look at black people like pieces of shit, bro. They don't look at it as anything other than victims, and we need the state and white people to help us do ABC.
Well, that was obvious in 2020, like with BLM.
There are also several real-world examples that show when you remove laws around drugs. Well, I would agree with that.
I don't
to an extent.
I agree with that in other countries, in countries where things are very, very different than the friggin' United States. Like things do not operate in a vacuum. They're using small examples in places like Sweden, Amsterdam, etc., that is completely different culture, completely different ideologies, and a completely different set of laws that make it different. You cannot use something in a completely different situation and expect it to actually work in the United States of America. It's not the way it is.
They already made it legal in other states to do certain drugs anyways. So that's already there. This is just spending taxpayer money to be able to fund them to be able to do it.
Or Oregon will be the biggest beneficiary of the crack pipe game. Like they're gonna get them, and they're gonna be all over it because they got no laws on drugs.
Man, happy Black History Month. You get a crack pipe. You get a crack pipe. We all get a crack pipe.
It's not
Joe Biden's Oprah moment.
It's very addiction is not addiction, Grant. That is not true. Addiction is addiction on the human level, but when it comes to how to create laws around addiction, every country is very, very different, incredibly different. Cultures are different. It's just I get what you're saying. Addiction is addiction, human to human, but trying to find a way to treat it is not.
I think we should stop trying to legislate morality. Like, it's never going to work. You can't stop someone from doing what they want to do. If they want to go smoke crack, they're gonna go smoke crack. Whether Joe Biden does this idiotic shit or he doesn't, you're always gonna find a way to get your vice. Sure. That is an addict. They're gonna find a way to get it.
But if you don't make it harder, then because here's the issue: is yes, I get what you're saying. Let it happen. Let crime happen. Let them do what they want to do. Whatever. Innocent people die that way. That's the problem. People get caught in crossfire.
Don't innocent people die without drugs being a factor?
Yes,
they're going to go to jail for what they do.
I think what Eric Rommans is saying here is probably the most accurate way to look at it, which is people are going to do what they're going to do, but we shouldn't necessarily feed and make that like we shouldn't make it a household regular thing. Like this should be people's personal choice.
Let's go.
In the addiction world, they call it an enabler, right? And so you're enabling them to continue the bad habit, and that's what you're doing.
Which is our government,
which is paying for this.
Which is the government in a nutshell. That is the biggest issue. Our country, and we're not enablers on being good. We're enablers on being bad. Now we've created this whole system of the bail system is completely broken, and they're not that bad of people. Like we got to be nice to criminals. We've enabled bad behavior in this country, and I think why.
Because they don't rehabilitate. So, of course, they're going to keep pandering like, oh, they don't know any better. Well, they don't know any better because you're not rehabilitating them.
Our prison system
That's why they keep reoffending.
Our prison system is garbage. Agreed.
I just said Big Pharma. Repeal Big Pharma.
Well,
they need to go.
It's horrible. Like here in Utah, we're one of the worst for opioid abuse in the country. And it's because, and this is going to be calling out all the Mormons, but a lot of Mormons think, just because my doctor wrote a prescription, it's okay. I can just take it. I can take it.
For me to take it.
No, it's not.
But you know what? Their liver's going to get fucked and they're going to die. So more power to you.
Well, they call Utah County Happy Valley. It's one of the most prescribed. It's one of the most prescription-driven counties in the country.
I don't see how these people take these drugs. I gotta be honest. When I've gotten surgery, I've gotten these drugs, and I'm like, ugh. I want to throw up after taking it. It makes you feel terrible.
Yep.
Horrible. I'm like, how do you function? I immediately want to go to sleep. You got people that pop it, go function, and live life. I'm just like, ugh. This is the worst feeling ever.
All right. Let's go ahead. We're gonna move over now. We can talk about some iffy stuff. We've got about a half hour left in the show today. It's gonna be a long one. It seems like we'll do quick truck convoy updates. Casey, I'll let you take this one. You follow them religiously, kind of like I do. But go ahead.
So far, it's kind of it's not getting any better. It's getting worse. They did a little protest today in Ottawa, which was really cool because Ottawa actually signed a state of emergency where they wanted silence, so no more horns, because there was supposedly a lot of complaints that people were not able to get sleep. And so they signed a state of emergency to where you can't honk your horn. If you honk your horn, you will get arrested. An innocent old man did that when he was driving around a neighborhood and police arrested him. He wasn't even part of this protest or anything, and they arrested him. And it's happening downtown. A few other people have been arrested for other things like gas cans, bringing gas cans down. You can't bring gas cans in to help the truckers keep their trucks fueled. And so they did a protest today, and a whole bunch of people came in with gas cans. I have a video on my Facebook that I shared that there was probably 50 to 100 people just all brought gas cans, and they're like, arrest us all, try it. Mm-hmm. And that's the part that's so amazing about this. And I keep emphasizing that they're doing all of this with unity and with respect, and they're not damaging anything. They're keeping everything clean, and it's amazing. And they're just giving it to the government. They don't care. There's been some other things that have been announced, like Pat King, he can no longer digitally transfer funds out of his bank account. That has been shut down. He now has to go withdraw cash manually to be able to give out to truckers and stuff to help support them. And then he also is having some other digital issues. Supposedly that is tied to the Canadian government. Haven't seen any facts around that specifically. But overall, it's still in the same place. They're making a statement. The government is really fighting over this. The parliament is going back and forth all the time, and they are just fighting. You have the liberals that are saying this is unacceptable, and then you have the conservatives that are saying they're fighting for their rights and they should be able to do so.
Well, what's interesting, Casey, is they've got more than just two parties there, and they did a poll on how many people support the trucker convoy and the fact that they see themselves as a part of it, and it's literally 33 or 34%, which would actually make them the majority party. That is more than any of the parties in Canada actually get. So that's got to start ringing is a little bit scary to the Canadian government. And if I don't know how long ago this happened. Eric mentioned it. I looked it up, but as of midnight tonight, so again, things are changing. As of midnight tonight, the mandates in Alberta, the vaccine mandates will be lifted tonight in Alberta. Jason Kenney, Premier of Alberta, has announced that several COVID-19 restrictions, including the V passport mandate, will end at 11:59 p.m. local time on Tuesday night. So this is the first of a three-step plan to eliminate the majority of COVID rules. And he said that, and this is the key, now is the time to begin to learn to live with COVID. Kenny said these restrictions have led to a terrible division. So I think it's seeing, and he even said earlier on Tuesday he pledged to fight Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's V mandate for Canadian truckers. So it's working. I think it's clearly working.
I think one of the cool things, here in our country, typically when protests get to this level of anger, we erupt in violence, and I think that this is a good opportunity for us to look at our neighbors north and say, look at how effective they are, and they simply are just being kind, generous, but stern, and saying, we the people will not. And I think that that's something that we here in America struggle with, because we don't know how to protest in a fashion that is beneficial without kind of raging and throw, it always comes down to, well, Second Amendment, we got to overthrow this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, Canada's doing a pretty damn good job right now of keeping their government in check and changing philosophically the reality, while cleaning up cities, banding together as people, doing nice things. It's a good lesson for us that I think we could take into our own sector and use.
Yeah. And I think the government's overreach has been huge. And I think that overreach has actually really lifted up the people to want to fight with them. There's the clip of the Ottawa mayor saying that they succeeded in getting GoFundMe to pull their funding. So essentially they're admitting that they had their hands went into a quote unquote private entity. They're saying they had something to do with it. And then the fact that he bragged about that. And then he complained about the embarrassment that is Canada by talking about these things. He said, these Canadians are playing music. They are partying. They are dancing late at night, and they have even bounce house castles for their children. This cannot go on. He did not say a single thing about vandalism, crime, nothing. He is mad that there's Canadians dancing in the street and playing with bounce houses with children. This is to the point where somebody has to go, oh, okay, nope. All right. Were you asking Casey down there? What was that saying?
So, no, that was Tracy asking if I saw what Benny Johnson posted earlier.
Yeah.
I think it's related to the vaccine mandate being repealed at midnight tonight. So not vaccine mandate, the passport, but on an update, just real quick on U.S. stuff for the truckers.
Yep.
The U.S. trucker stuff, it looks like it's moving forward. Honestly, I don't have a whole lot of faith in it going to D.C. I've shared that a few times.
I don't think it should go to D.C.
I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to go to DC because your problem is not with DC. Your problem is with your local representatives and taking back control there. But
I was saying we got to take it to the Super Bowl. I think all these people need to convene on the world stage of the Super Bowl and
it's too late. They would have already had to do it. There would be no way you can get that done in time. By Sunday, no way. They would have already had to be. They're so dysfunctional and trying to get this stuff done right now. Going to DC. It's changed hands and who's actually organizing it 3 times already. They can't figure out how to get it done because it doesn't make sense to go to DC, honestly.
Hey, Mo, why don't you take that on?
Go to your state capital, but not DC.
I just mean if you're in LA, you're a trucker, you're a medical person. If you're in the area, I'm not talking about getting people to come in. If you want to come in, cool. But I'm not talking anything complicated. I'm saying take your trucks, your cars, your signs, and line the streets all the way around the stadium. That's what they need to do. It doesn't need to be some big organized thing. Just say, hey, everybody, if you want to protest something, whether it be masks on your kids, whether it be the fact that your job, whatever it is, here's the place to do it because every media outlet will be there.
I agree with you. The problem is when it comes to the way it took Canada 3-4 weeks to get this planned and figured out.
Yeah.
And you're asking to get this done and situated in California and go around the Super Bowl, which they're already building things around the Super Bowl and shutting down streets down there right now. And so you would have to really be structured and organized, but then you also have to make sure you have the people that can keep the composure and not bring violence, which is going to be your most difficult thing to do. If you just expedite it and do it, you're going to have Antifa, you're going to have everybody there, and it's just going to turn into chaos and not be productive.
And as somebody that worked the Super Bowl almost every year for 10 years, that is one of the most militarized events that we have in the United States of America.
Is it really?
Oh my God.
I did not know that.
You have to get, in order to get anywhere near the area, you have to be background checked about a month and a half. Oh no, what am I talking about? Usually before Thanksgiving, you have to get background checked. You have to get approved. Then you have to go and get credentials. And that's just to get in any of the areas directly surrounding it within any area. But there is snipers on every building. There it is.
Snipers?
Didn't you see them catch Dave Portnoy? Because he was wearing it. They found Dave Portnoy in a stadium full of 80,000 people.
Yeah. Anywho, so I mean, I get it, and there's probably ways of doing something around the Super Bowl. It's just, and it doesn't need that many people. But I think ultimately, and we'll end the conversation on the truckers. If it's going to happen in the United States of America, it has to be state by state and organized. Organized the same day is not a bad thing. But it just the whole concept of going to DC. We have different laws than Canada, and it really needs, and we have also a different setup, and it needs to be taken to the state legislatures.
For the record, it is being organized by state right now. Like they're trying to separate it out, but it's still way difficult. Like they're struggling to find people in each state to organize and run it from each state and be a representative. We are a much larger country with a lot more people, and so it takes a lot more coordination to handle it because we're 10 times the population of Canada.
Yeah.
So if you take the truckers into consideration, we probably have 15, 20 times the truckers in the US than what Canada has. So it gets crazy when we start talking about it. But that's why I say organize locally, go to your capital. That's how you can knock it out. Like you can knock it out of the park. Utah just did it last weekend. There's talks of another one going on again, which is going to be fantastic, and it's going to even be bigger than the last one. But we'll have to see. These are all good things, though. These are all great things. We just have to embrace them and support them, and just make sure that we don't get J6'd again. That's it.
Yeah. All right, let's get this wrapped up with some V's and some mass. So, Suni, I want to go to you because I know you were sharing a bunch of the DoD stuff that I was looking at last week as well. With the V updates, as carefully as we can say all this stuff, to start it out, the unV'd are still being blamed. If you look at liberal media outlets, specifically in the local news is like LA and different stuff like that, which is mind boggling at this point. It's impossible to really think that thought process is such a farce at this point in terms of the spread. We could still say the V might keep you out of the hospital better, not fully, definitely not fully, but maybe a little bit better. Great. But the stuff that's being released by the DoD is damning. Suni, go ahead.
Yeah, they actually, a whistleblower came out again and they captured some data from coding in the DoD system.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out a lot of it had to do with cancer, myocarditis, infertility in women, miscarriages, Bell palsy. And I think it was like a 300 increase from
100%.
the norm of what happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say I'm not shocked. There are things that I pay attention to here that I don't necessarily bring to the internet because at the end of the day, it could affect my spouse in a certain way. But now that it's out there, there's definitely an increase. And a lot of people are starting to resist because of this information that has clearly been out and you can see what's going on. But is it going to change what the DoD is doing? No, because they're archiving and burying as we speak. What it does is it just exposes the public to the Fed, like straight up. You see what's going on in the Fed. They don't care. Lloyd Austin is the worst Secretary of Defense that I've ever experienced in my 31 years on this planet. He does not give a damn about the soldiers. Period, point blank. Like to not even speak on this or put out a statement or do anything. It's just like, wow. Okay. It shows how much you care.
So my question becomes, and I agree with you that probably nothing's going to change. Just like the increased time between shots being brought up, essentially admitting that there's heart inflammation being caused. Like that, there's no other way to admit that. That's what you're doing. The DoD release, to me, that what's mind-boggling is how does the DoD not match the data being presented by the CDC in this country? That's the big question. So the DoD has a different operating structure. Mm-hmm. The CDC, you can still see there is some big issues with myocarditis, but the CDC has shuffled anything having to do with female pregnancies, had shuffled anything having to do with cancer. They have managed to avoid that. Why is that not showing across all people?
Mm-hmm. Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
I don't get it anymore.
I think it would be speculation.
Can you guys, I don't know if the word fact check me and CDC go hand in hand. But I heard the other day that they said something to the effect of, now we're kind of rethinking the boosters that we were giving, and maybe that's what's causing all the myocarditis and all the issues that people were having is because we were getting too many shots at once. Yeah, that's what.
So that was the increase. So the CDC, they're having a board meet also at the exact same time within a week. They're also having a meeting on boosting 6-month-olds.
Anyways,
wow.
And that will be the FDA will be hearing that this week. They're saying it's harmless because it's a 10th of the adult dose. I don't give a shit. Why is a 6-month-old getting it? But regardless, the same week they are having a conversation about the need to increase time between the first shot, the second shot, and the booster, because they think that if it's crammed too close together, that might be causing heart inflammation and myocarditis. So wait a second. You're saying this, which means it's happening. Whereas if we typically talk about it, which we're being a little risque right now, typically talking about it is enough to get us as deemed as misinformation. You're admitting it to the point where it's a discussion of, do we need to elongate the time between shots? You are now currently evil hiding in plain sight at that point.
Right.
I agree.
And this is all real stuff. Go ahead, Easy.
So I've got two little things here I want to pull up because they're in line with this, which is Johns Hopkins just went through a bunch of different studies and came out and said, let's see if this pulls out correctly.
I pulled it up. I got. You want me to pull it up?
Yeah, pull it up. Coming. Okay. So this is a study that Johns Hopkins did, compounding, I think 48 or 49 different studies. And what the conclusion is that lockdowns only changed and reduced COVID deaths by 0.2, so 0.2%. Now, I wanted to put this in perspective because when you do the math, if you adjust for comorbidities and stuff like that. So Johns Hopkins has a running list. I can pull it up if we got a minute to do it, but they have a running list of deaths, and they're still working off of the big number, which is somewhere in the range of 900,000 right now, right? And the reason that that's important is if you adjust for the comorbidity, which is 4 or more, right? So 75% of those people had or less than those. What you ultimately end up with is about 220,000 people who probably went off because of specifically this ailment. And what that does is it brings into perspective that we have a huge problem in accountability here. These things that we're doing are experimental, and they are absolutely things that have had relatively zero impact other than social impact, which is this next piece here. If you'll pull this back up,
I got you.
This is a report that came out from life insurance companies. Deaths are up 40%. Now, to be clear, they are not blaming this right on specifically on COF, right? What they're saying is, and this is the point that I think is really important, what has happened to the psychology of people by being locked in their homes, by not being able to gather, by being isolated to the nth degree from family, from friends, all of those things. And I wanted to put these two things in conjunction, because if the death rate only changes by 0.2%, but you're seeing a 40% increase in the third quarter of 2021 alone, this speaks to the psychology of what's going on. And I just wanted to kind of throw that in there because it's crazy to me, and it makes me alarmed for the mental health of our country here going forward.
Oh, I agree. I mean, we're seeing so many suicides right now, and we're seeing an increase in cancer. You can deem that however you want, conspiracy, not conspiracy, or the fact that cancer happens when people get weaker, when people don't take care of themselves. Cancer is always in the human body, and when you give it a weak spot, that's how it attaches. And fact is, cancer rates are skyrocketing right now. We are unhealthier than we've ever been. We haven't had a single person on the left side or ruling side of the government in our country once bring up, hey guys, probably a good time to go to the gym. And also get out and go around. Mask mandates have also desensitized people. It's a public health crisis, and it's not COVID.
I agree. Just so people know that I'm not gassing. This is actually from the DoD screen, and it says the different increases. I know it's hard to see, but Overall, in each category, myocardial infarction.
Yeah.
269% increase. Bell palsy, 291 increase. Congenital malformations of military children. Okay, these are kids we're talking about now. 156% increase. Female infertility, 471 increase. Pulmonary embolism, 467 increase. And a lot of these numbers did come from people who are hospitalized, but there is a signed declaration from a military doctor openly admitting that he believes all this happened due to COVID-19 vaccinations.
Suni, pull up that video I sent you of that comedian, Heather McDonald. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
That
the
was
TMZ video. So
wild.
If we can't pull up the video, this is a comedian, a well-known comedian that was doing a set that was in the early stages of her set, talking about, she's like, I'm good. I'm juiced. I'm boosted. I'm ready to go. And within a minute of that joke, she collapsed, and they thought it was a joke. Everybody thought it was part of the act until she was pulled out by EMTs and ended up in the hospital. She fainted on the stage right after talking about being juiced and boosted.
But she didn't just faint. Like, she it almost looked like she had like a massive stroke, and just like I guess she cracked her skull. She fell so hard. That's crazy.
I'm gonna be nice. I'm going to be nice.
Can't make this shit up anymore.
You can't.
So again,
I laugh at it.
So she's a comedian, so that's what she's doing. I thought it was a great attempt. That's realistic comedy right there. That is realistic comedy. Here it is. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You take on stage.
Sorry.
After you brag about being vaccinated.
I don't care, but I want you to know, double vaxxed, booster, flu shot, and I'm going to be honest, I have the shingle shot too. And I still get my period. What? Yes! Traveled, went to Mexico twice, did shows, meet and greets, never got COVID. Clearly, Jesus loves me the most. Seriously. So nice. So nice.
Boom! Somebody once told me.
Oh. I mean, you can't make that up. Like, you can.
Good for her.
You can't make that up.
The fact that she said
I've never
Jesus
seen that
loves
video.
me, and then
I didn't see the video either.
What, Mo? Sorry.
I said the fact that she said Jesus loves me, and then she just like boom. I was like, ooh. I was like,
strike lightning right there.
The Lord done took you out, honey. Like he. I was like, oh Lord.
You know what that's like? That's like the oh shit. What's the karate guy's name? The old karate Chuck Norris, when he's like shooting people and just like nailing people that pew pew pew.
Yeah.
Just knocking them down.
Yeah.
Yes.
In
Tracy,
the gaming world, we would say boom, headshot.
Is she okay, Tracy? I believe she's recovering nicely in the hospital, and probably rethinking being double boosted.
No, you know what we need to do? We need to wish death on her, like the left does.
No!
Cancel her for being a shitty comic and didn't.
Why?
Even
You guys want
the
to
joke.
cancel Whoopi? Now we can't.
See,
I'm catching you on too many inconsistencies. Come on.
No, she's like God's child. That guy you had on. She had a religious moment. She's like, I knew I was in the right. I got every shot that the government told me to get because Jesus loves me. Wow. Okay, so the thing I learned is that Jesus did not love that comment, and I may have been wrong. And I saw Jesus in that moment. I went straight down.
I'm interested in her rebuttal. I want to hear what she says after
Oh
all that.
shit! Go on her Instagram. I think on her Instagram
she spoke out.
She posted
oh
something.
gosh.
Not spoke out, because I don't think she can like function cognitively after that. But I think she posted something.
Yeah, fucked up. That Bell palsy kicked in strong, huh?
You know what it reminded me of? Speaking of Wendy Williams, remember when Wendy, like on Halloween, she was dressed and she was like, that was the funniest. Yo, that was so, and I love Wendy, but I was like, I had to watch it so many times because I was like, is this bitch play with us right now? Like,
well,
what?
They said that you've got Bell's palsy, and then Gillian Barr, she got jelly leg bar.
That was the funniest, like her face, like her big old bug eyes.
Yeah. No, the Wendy Williams bit was ridiculous. She's such a drama queen, but she's got apparently early onset dementia, so I can't talk bad about her now.
We're talking about mandates, yeah.
Sure we can.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a little off subject.
I have a cool video for.
Oh, I thought you were talking about
mandates.
I thought you were talking about Wendy Williams and man.
Well, she's a man, but
go ahead.
Yeah, it's
go ahead.
Panda season, so they got to drop all these mandates. They,
That's
ain't nobody gonna go out and vote.
You ever seen her hands?
Oh,
that's a man.
Yeah, sure. If she shook Trump's hand, it'd be like this.
No ass at all. That's a man.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
One of the things we all understand is just how frustrated everyone is.
Yeah. Listen to this
We're
shit.
all frustrated. We're all sick and tired of restrictions, of mandates, of having to make sacrifices, of not being able to do the things we love.
Is this
been 2
blackface?
years, and it's really, really tiring for all of us. This government has been focused every step of the way on following the best science, following the best public health advice to keep as many people safe as possible. And quite frankly, it's worked. We've seen the curves lower in Canada than elsewhere. We've seen lower death rates. We've seen quicker economic recovery because Canadians stepped up, because Canadians got vaccinated. And I can understand frustrations with mandates, but mandates are the way to avoid further restrictions.
Wait. Is that Justin Trudeau? I thought this was like a parody.
Yeah. No,
that was Trudeau.
That was like a week ago, though, right? That was a while ago. That was
mandates.
Because he hasn't been seen in like a week. I think that was like a week and a half ago.
He looks oddly
How do
like
mandates
Fidel
and
Castro.
Mandates. Like, please explain that to me.
Of course, you got to bring up Fidel Castro.
I had to pull that post. I had to pull it from because it was deemed false news. And I was just saying they look a lot alike. I could not. I had to remove that post.
It's cancel season, bro.
They do look a lot alike.
Listen,
and I think it's interesting. He's wearing I like how we pretend to be better than the left, but here I laughing at something have a medical issue. She's alive. She's still good. And Wendy Williams, I laughed at her because she's just. I'm glad she's alive. She's just embarrassing. There's a huge difference. I'm not on their wall going like I'm not going on her Twitter being like, oh, see what happens? I'm glad you almost died, you stupid wench. No, we're kind of seeing.
I would go to her page and see.
We're saying.
Find out.
I feel bad.
We even asked her if she was okay. I mean, we got to the point where we
asked about the damn thing.
No.
Yeah, come on.
I feel bad for her.
Here's an actual question. If it was somebody on the right that said, I'm unV'd, I'm proud to be up here, I've lived this whole thing, clearly Jesus loves me because I haven't even got COVID yet, and they collapsed, what would happen?
We wouldn't say shit, but the left would go and have a field day. We'd be like, dang, prayers
bro.
to her, prayers, like,
Yeah.
This is a political pundit show where everything we do is behind people's
Public.
back. I would literally love for anybody that we talk about. I would love to have Rittenhouse, Biden, Joe Rogan, any of them. I would love to have them on the show and talk behind their back, or I'm sorry, talk in front of their face. But this is not talking behind their back. This is just talking right here. And by going on their Twitter, they're probably not going to see my comment. It's just you look like a hateful idiot, which is what the left loves to do.
Well, we love you anyways, Grant.
Yeah. Bro, go smoke a blunt, man.
You know what? Okay, this whole like, what if the left did this? What would we do if it was us? Listen, guys, life isn't fair. Nothing's equal. So there is no equal situation where we have to react the way one person reacts. I'm not down for that shit. Life is unfair. The tables are not.
If she would have died, this would be a much different conversation. Like we'd have been like, did you see this?
I don't even know who she is.
It's different. I mean, so anyways, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of those people that like, if I don't know who you are, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, this is tragic. Prayers. Like when that lady jumped off the building, that e-correspondent. I mean, terrible, but I'm not going to post about it.
Right.
Because I don't really know who she is. You know
And
what I
she
mean?
died.
Like yeah, I mean, it's her family's job to be mournful, not mine.
Here's one more honest question. Do you think that Grant Bull wears a thong or boy shorts? Okay. Moving on.
A butt plug.
Wish I didn't have to have that question in my mind.
All right. Oh, you know that just fired him up. He's like, damn it.
He's like, excuse me.
So on the topic of mandates.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember when I put that post out and I got censored because I said,
okay, there we go. He's got a sense of humor. Sorry.
He said, "Oh, you're gay." Ew. Ew.
I thought that was funny. I like that you played along, Grant. I dig that you played along. Okay, so the other thing is what Trudeau is wearing in that video is a surgical mask, which everybody and their mother, including CNN, is talking about how they, and I don't know if YouTube yet has pulled the restriction. We're now calling him the Brown Star. We're pulling the restrictions. When do you think YouTube will pull the restrictions on talking about that the MASKs don't work? Because so if we share a CNN clip where they talk about that it's time to get rid of the mandates for they don't really work anymore. It's fine. Moving on. When can we be? I mean, technically, again, 6 months ago, everything that I said is being proven true. Everything we said is being proven true. What the fuck?
Maybe they won't take it down, but they'll make it virtually impossible for people to find.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is where people will find a divide where the CDC is progressing in their science or changing their step, but the White House is not. And I think that this will be a very clear tell where the allegiance is. Is it to misinformation or is it to political group? And my hope is that it's not to political groups. It's rather, I guess, to science, which still is a term that's colloquial at this point. But I think this is a good opportunity for people to take inventory. It's a marker. We get to look at it and we get to say, are they going to continue to push White House narrative or are they going to follow CDC recommendations and guidance? Don't know.
I don't know.
White House. Wins.
Yeah, our White House has become their own medical entity that completely varies not only from essentially the White House is working closest with the FDA in terms of science, which are both bodies that operate off of funding and not off of science. So it's questionable. And to answer the question about Wendy Williams, I believe as though she did end up getting the V, but I'm not 100% sure. She did end up getting it. Yeah,
she did, and that's when it went all downhill, which was
crazy. That's right. That's when she.
Yeah, she ended up actually doing a call, which was really weird with Dr. Oz, and he said in the call, like it was like an interview that they did, and he was like, "I'm going to convince you. I'm here to answer all your questions about your hesitancy to get the vaccine. I'm going to convince you." And she's like, "You're never going to convince me to get it." I think what happened is her the show ultimately probably told her, and she lives in New York, obviously,
and she got COVID and she got
COVID. Yeah, but they said that it was, what do they call it, like after you get the shot and you get COVID, what do they call that?
Is that when she got it? Oh
yeah, she got it after. Mm-hmm.
That's not getting you didn't have COVID, you just
got a breakthrough. They called it a breakthrough
something.
Yeah
Whatever.
Poor Wendy, she was born ugly, you guys, like have some
she's actually coming back?
No, they just announced today that she's not coming back for the rest of the season because her recovery, whatever that is going slower than they thought.
But I thought she was done. I thought she completely retired like 5 months ago, but I guess not.
They haven't announced that.
I don't know why I care. Oh my God, that's a dude.
Tell me why a survivalist from Naked and Afraid, right? He's just following me and he's like, "You're so right. Joe Biden hates black people. I fucking love you for this." He's like going off in my inbox. You okay, sir?
Wow.
What is the new CDC recommendation? I actually don't know at this point. I do know that
F the CDC, F the WEF, F the WHO, F all of those entities and the UN.
I just pulled it up. They're essentially, it's very vague, but what they're slowly doing is as they've released media is they're saying this needs to be a personal choice. If you have symptoms, you should be, potentially masking up yourself. These are and these are the common sense things that we've all talked about now for a year and a half, which is if you're sick and it's contagious, you should probably take some sick days and relax. Like this is full circle. Like in the way that it's come out is the CDC is essentially not endorsing any type of intervention other than please take good caution.
Yeah. Which is what we've been saying all along. And yeah, so we'll wrap the show with kudos to the high school students because it's looking like mass. And again, maybe rallies aren't needed in the United States because I mean I don't know. We'll find out, but it looks like even Illinois, Chicago is actually lifting their state's indoor mask mandate. A lot of the schools have started to lift it. You've got video from Israel of a bunch of kids celebrating. It shows how much kids don't want to be wearing these stupid friggin' things. Let's see. Yes. And honestly, other countries have been following this forever. If you want to be quote unquote considerate to other people, surgical mask and N95s, well-fitting. Okay.
Shut up.
That's not accurate. So it's the N95s and KN95s. I don't see this I could be wrong. Well-fitting disposable surgical masks. I know that they catch certain fibers in them because they have electromagnetic pull, but they are showed to have a very low percentage compared to KN95s and N95s. Go ahead, Suni.
Can I just say something on that? So the CDC has what word do they use? Marginalized probably 98% of Americans by saying, hey, you need these 95 masks, but half of us can't afford it, or they're just not in our reach because we don't work in the medical industry, but you can put on this cloth mask that doesn't work. And I'm going to keep telling you to mask up, even though the masks that you're wearing don't work. We don't have 95 masks, bro. They're so hard to come by. So let people take off the damn mask unless they're wearing an N95, and all of us don't have N95. So why are you marginalizing a group? Tell you the government is racist, and the government's racist against every freaking body.
They sending us N95 masks, but we did a deal with China to get them, so it's all good. It'll be okay.
Oh, so everybody will have COVID and everything else, anthrax, and all up in the mask. So we're all gonna die anyway. Got it.
All right. So here's the deal, guys. I don't have a KN95, but they did give me a crack pipe, so I can't
right?
get COVID-19. It's fine.
Funny thing, right? And I was thinking about this. Democrats called, and I called it pandering to a certain extent, but I understood what Trump was doing. Exactly. Trump was offering actual solutions to the Black community, right? And they pissed it off and shitted it away. They're like, no, we don't want it. You're a white supremacist. Why a white supremacist want to help you? I don't even know. But you voted for a guy who literally looks at you like you're a crackhead and said, here's 30 million. Go smoke your crack pipes. Like, what type of world do we live in, bro?
I don't even know.
And people still think that we're hateful.
Don't worry, Joe Biden's the best president in history, and he's the most popular president.
I don't know if you know this case.
I really enjoyed
it. Been smoking rocks.
I really enjoyed him.
We're about to be in a media state where we have to say stuff like that. It's creepy. We're about to become China. All right, China. I think we're wrapped. We're gonna do a show on the Olympics sometime this week. I'll be traveling, but I'll pop on. Any final words from anybody? We can head out of this very long show.
Remember, trust the government.
Mask.
We all talked at once. One at a time, kids. One at a time.
Yeah, so one time I didn't direct. Who wants to say something first?
Casey was talking first.
Casey, go ahead.
Just remember, trust the government. They love you.
Trust the government.
And don't forget that even though you can't drive down to your nearest DMV office to get your ID, you can't get a crack pipe. Just call.
Hey,
just call. 1-800.
That's a win for America right there.
Right. Right.
Jesus. Suni?
Man, that's crazy. IDs are racist, but crack pipes is racial equity.
That's a shirt, Suni. That's a shirt right there.
Crack. So that was good. I'm not going to make a shirt out of it, but I will make a status. What was it? Voter IDs are
racist.
That's good.
But crack pipes are racial equity.
Oh, man.
That's crazy. And you know what? Black people are gonna be like gobble gobble gobble. Yeah, this is gonna help the country.
Yeah, this now has like a whole new meaning. The whole spoon thing. Is that a crack spoon?
No, he's
or
not. You guys are taking what Joe Biden did out of context. Really?
Out of context.
We're taking it out of context, huh? But he said
I
racial
wanna
equity.
hear
So
how
what are
they
you saying
spin
about
that
black
one.
folks?
I
I want to
can't
talk
wait to
to
hear them
Mitch.
spin it.
You don't understand. I'm so happy to get on Instagram.
What is
You
he
need to
talking?
Get
What is he
on and
talking
tag
about?
him. He's always defending
7
Biden.
different states
Just
sent in
let him be.
elector documents. Don't rub your eyes. Open them.
I'm
How about you sit on it and rotate, buddy? You either need some cooter, something. You need to smoke some weed. Do something. Good Lord. Stick up your ass.
Well,
Get it
maybe
out.
when you get your free crack pipe, you can just use that. It's cool.
OnlyFans.
All right. It is time to wrap up the show. We'll have obviously a lot more. Thank you guys for joining us.
We need Concert Avengers back.
We do need concert. Well, I think
it's coming back.
This is kind of turning into it, but we'll have we'll probably have more stuff. God, I'm watching WGN on the side as they're talking about lifting the mask mandates, but then you see news reporters with masks. You're seeing while they're talking about it.
What?
Oh, out of curiosity, was he talking about sitting and spitting on one?
Talking about crack pipes. What?
Oh, that would explain a lot. Has anybody gotten their tests from Biden yet? Their free COVID tests?
They don't just mail them to you. You got to request it.
No, they were supposed to mail them to everybody in the United States. That's what I heard. I
went to the website. You have to request it.
Oh, got it.
Yeah.
I feel
Everybody
like
should stick it in.
And that's a big fuck no. I'm not gonna request.
I don't even want to say it no more. I'm done.
I want to meet Grant in real life. Not like I'm curious.
I'm sure he's one of Dalton's followers.
You think so?
Leave my boy Dalton alone, bro.
I wonder where they're making them crack pipes. This is
China. Duh, you ever know?
China crack pipe.
Jeez.
Oh.
All right, I'm sorry. I digress.
Everybody have a good night. We've been here for an hour.